Hi there. We are back to answer a question from one of our viewers. So a while ago I shared this video talking about how to use the Apple II JS emulator to load and store basic programs. And one of our viewers said, I'm trying to save some programs into my Apple I system emulated by POM1, and I think it may be the same way. Wouldn't you have an Apple I or its emulator? Maybe you could also teach how to save the programs on it. So, I don't know much about the Apple I, to be fair, but I've played a bit with it and here what I have found. So, first I have downloaded the POM1 emulator, and if you run it, you get something like this. So this is the interface of the Apple I. So memory address E000. I have the there's where the basic interpreter sits. So we run what's in that memory address, and here we get the basic interpreter prompt, and I can try to list some program which I don't have, and I can try something here. Okay, it works. So let us put this in memory. Oops. So then print hello world. And now we have this program, and if run it, it actually works. So that's all right. But the question is now, how do we save this somewhere? So first, we have no floppies here. We don't have, the Apple I did not have floppy disks. So we had to, back then in hardware, to save to cassette. So, but in order to save to cassette, it's not enough to just have the basic Apple I system. You would need a special expansion card called the Apple I Cassette Interface, ACI. And once you have that piece of hardware, you could run some commands to save it. So here's the manual, the original manual of the Apple Basic, which you can find in PDF in applefreezer.com. And here they gave instructions about how do you load or save to cassette. Let me find it. So you see reading and writing basic programs on tape. However, that thing assumes that you have the ACI. So my question was, does the POM1 emulator emulate the ACI? Let me start it again. So what I've learned watching one of the 8-bit guy videos about the Apple I, he mentions that once you put the ACI on physically on an Apple I, the memory of the device is mapped to these memory addresses, C100 to C1FF. And the way to check this is we simply print the memory in this interval. And if it's all zeros, it means you don't have the ACI. And we have only zeros here. So that means that you cannot use the POM1 Apple I emulator to save things to cassette, virtual cassette, the way you would with an original Apple I. So I noticed that there's also an Apple I JS emulator in JavaScript, and that one is quite neat, and you can even do things like load basic or games or stuff. However, I only see the load button here, and I don't see any way to emulate a cassette to store stuff here. I've tried using this information about how to save, but then there's a point that you're supposed to physically start the tape recorder. And of course we don't have this, I don't see how to emulate this. Maybe someone knows better this emulator and will explain how we can do it, but I don't know how. So as far as I know, we cannot save our basic programs in an Apple I emulator in the same way that you would save them back in the time. However, there's one thing we can do if we want to save a game using I'm sorry, not a game, but we want to save a basic program, which could be a game or something else, using the POM1 emulator. So if you check the documentation of, where's the README? Here it is, that comes with the POM1 emulator. They tell you that they have all these commands, and one of them that you can save memory to a file that can be either a binary or ASCII file, and then you can load this thing later. So you just hit like Control and these letters, so Control L to load and Control S to save. So what we want to do here is to save a program in memory. So let me once again start the basic interpreter and then put some program here. Okay, now I want to save this somehow. So I have to save this to Control S to save, right? So here I have to give the file name. I'll call it hello, and hello text, because this is going to be an ASCII file. And then I choose the file format. I choose ASCII. I'll press 1. And then I have to put the starting address. So we have to choose what is the location in memory that we want to save. So I Googled and found this in Apple Reader again. I found a memory map of the, let me find it, here it is. So that's a memory map of the Apple I. So we see that the basic programs, they are gonna be in RAM, in the user space, and that's between address 0000 and 8000. Here this shows you that this is the system and user space. So this is where our basic programs will be. So the start address, it's 0000, and the ending address is 8000. Okay, so if we check our file system, now we have this hello text file, and you check, it's just a text file that has a bunch of memory addresses. We can see there's most of it, it's zeros, right? Because our memory right now contains very little, but you have some bytes here and there. So this should be probably parts of our program. So that's all right. So now I'm going to stop the emulator and start it again. So let's go to the basic interpreter and see if we have anything in memory. No, we don't, right? Because we have just reset the emulator, so there's nothing here. And I'm gonna say Control L to load a file, and then it's hello.txt. The format is ASCII. Do you want to simulate keyboard input? That will make it look like we're typing the stuff. I don't care about it. I'll just say to, no. So now it's loaded, and let's see if I list, I have my program back again. So this is how you can, with the POM1 emulator, save memory to a file so you can store your favorite basic programs for Apple I and play with them. I hope you enjoyed this video.